What a night in New York. The Arthur Ashe crowd came in expecting a battle, but what they witnessed was something else entirely. Emma Raducanu, the 2021 US Open champion who once lit up these same courts with her fairy tale run, walked in with hope, energy, and a rising form that suggested she could push one of the best players in the world. But across the net stood Elena Rybakina, tall, ruthless, and focused like a woman on a mission. What unfolded was not a contest, but a demolition. A straight sets dismantling that left Raducanu stunned, the crowd in disbelief, and Rybakina marching into the fourth round with the aura of a true contender. From the very first ball, the tone was set. Rybakina came out firing, her ground strokes exploding off the racket, each shot like a cannonball that forced Raducanu back, scrambling to just keep the rally alive. It wasn't just power, it was precision, it was intent, it was dominance. Raducanu barely had time to breathe as Rybakina broke serve early and never looked back. 6 games flew by like a storm, and before Emma could even settle into the rhythm of the match, the scoreboard flashed a shocking 6-1 in favor of Rybakina. The energy inside the stadium turned restless. Fans were hoping to see the fight, the spark, the tenacity that made Emma a global superstar 4 years ago. But each time she tried to dig in, each time she tried to work her way into a rally, Rybakina had the answer. A blistering backhand down the line, a thundering forehand into the corner, a serve that left Emma flat-footed. It was tennis on another level, and it was all coming from the racket of Elena Rybakina. The second set began with a glimmer of hope. Emma tightened up her play, tried to stay with Rybakina, even forced a couple of long rallies. But when the critical points came, Rybakina was ruthless. She broke Emma's serve again and then again. The scoreline began to mirror the first set, and suddenly it was not about whether Raducanu could turn things around, but whether she could even find a foothold. The winners piled up on Rybakina's side, the errors crept in on Raducanu's side, and in just over an hour, the match was done. 6-1, 6-2. A brutal, emphatic statement from the Kazakh powerhouse. And here is what makes it even more dramatic. Emma Raducanu didn't earn a single break-point chance. Not one. She was locked out of the match completely. Her serve was broken twice per set, her confidence visibly shaking with every Rybakina winner. You could see it in her eyes. This wasn't the fairy tale of 2021 anymore. This was reality. The game has moved on, the opponents are sharper, stronger, more experienced, and to get back to the top, Emma will have to climb mountains. After the match, Raducanu admitted it herself. She said the world's best players really lock in against her, that when they see her name across the net, they raise their game another level. And that's exactly what happened here. Rybakina didn't just play well. She played some of the cleanest, sharpest tennis of her season. It was as if she wanted to make a statement not just to Raducanu, but to the entire tournament. She is here to win, and she will not be stopped easily. For Emma, the pain was obvious. This was her 8th straight defeat against a top 10 opponent at a Grand Slam. 8 times she has stepped onto the biggest stages against the elite, and 8 times she has been sent home without a victory. That kind of record stings, especially for a player who once stood at the very top of the tennis world with a Grand Slam trophy in her hands. The narrative that once surrounded her, a fearless champion, a rising star, has been replaced with questions about whether she can bridge the gap, whether she can handle the very best when the pressure is highest. But to be fair, this wasn't the same Raducanu we saw struggling with injuries and inconsistency last year. Her movement looked sharper, her fitness stronger, and her ranking has climbed back up from the depths. From outside the top 60, she has risen to the mid-30s, and that is progress. But progress sometimes collides with harsh reality. Against someone like Rybakina, who has won Wimbledon, who has played finals at the highest level, who knows how to close the door with authority, Emma's progress was simply not enough. For Rybakina, this victory marked something historic. For the first time in her career, she has reached the second week of every Grand Slam. Wimbledon champion, Australian Open contender, French Open challenger, and now, finally, a real force in New York. Her game has matured, her confidence is soaring, and this demolition of Raducanu sends a loud warning to every other player left in the draw. Underestimate her at your peril. The atmosphere after the match was heavy. Emma walked off with her head down, shoulders slumped, while Rybakina calmly acknowledged the crowd, her face expressionless, as if this wasn't a big deal, as if dismantling a former champion was just business as usual. And maybe that's what separates the very best right now. Rybakina's composure, her ability to stay locked in from first point to last, was the difference. She didn't give Emma an inch, didn't allow the crowd to lift her, didn't let her believe for even a second that a comeback was possible. And so the story of the night is clear. It was not Emma Raducanu's fairy tale. It was not the return of the 2021 magic. It was the cold, ruthless reality of the sport. Elena Rybakina, in just over an hour, destroyed Raducanu's US Open dreams and reminded the world that the margins at the top are brutal. One player left the court crushed, searching for answers. The other walked out stronger than ever, her eyes fixed on the prize. The US Open is unforgiving, can crown legends, and it can expose weaknesses. On this night, it exposed Emma's gap to the elite and crowned Rybakina as one of the scariest forces in the women's game right now. As the tournament moves forward, all eyes will be on Rybakina's next step. But for Raducanu, the questions remain. Can she rise again? Can she rediscover that unstoppable spark? Or will nights like this become her harsh new reality? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, Rybakina's demolition of Raducanu will be remembered as one of the most ruthless performances of this US Open.